After spending all my time, money, and effort building the front end, today we finally tackle the rear. And trust me, it did not go as smoothly as planned. Now they're different heights, which is freaking me out. Wow. I did it. Because it's not like I'm gonna swap the old axle back in. Now that the front end's done, we're gonna start on the rear end. The reason I started with the front end is because it was the more complicated side. And if I couldn't get the front end done correctly, I wasn't gonna do the rear end. But the rear end is the reason we did the front. This is an LSD. It's a much bigger axle than the factory one. It's out of a 01, I think it's an 01 Xterra. It's 3 inches wider, that's why we widened the front. It's gonna be a lot better off-road. It's gonna be a lot more reliable. I'm about to put this in. Biggest struggle that I didn't realize till now, I've had this axle for a while, but biggest struggle is the perches. On the Xterra, it's spring under axle, and on this, it's spring over axle, so the perches are slightly different. No, not slightly different, 180 degrees different. They're on the top instead of the bottom, and vice versa. So I gotta cut those off, flip them around, and make sure this thing is centered. The biggest plus to this axle is their sway bar mounts. And currently we have no sway bar. This thing didn't come with a sway bar and it has all its weight in the rear end. And so we're just topsy-turvy while driving down the road. So we're gonna be able to install a sway bar in the future after we get this axle in. It's gonna sit out wider, so it's gonna be a lot more stable. Right now, it looks really buff up front, but it looks like it skipped leg day because the rear end is still super narrow. But I am gonna work on cutting the perches off first because that's what I'm most concerned about. So I think I'm gonna cut those off and mark it before I pull this thing out, just in case something goes wrong. Hopefully it won't take me all weekend, but it will take me all day. So I need to cut this perch off. Biggest concern is I don't want to cut into the axle housing at all. I'm gonna try to do this really carefully and hopefully this will just peel off easily. I was able to cut off without damaging the mount or the axle housing. Now I have to figure out what angle to re-weld the mount onto the other side. But first I have to remove the old axle to compare angles. Right in the bucket. Okay, I found myself in a bit of a pickle. This input pinion bolt pattern has 4 bolts and the new axle has 6 bolts. I'm hoping that they'll fit together like Legos, but I'm a little freaked out and I don't know how I didn't notice that earlier. I already got this off.
You look like a strong young pup. Why don't you see if you can give that a nice tear?
Maybe.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Okay, that's gonna take some getting off. Okay, so got this off. They were the same bolt, or nut, I mean, same size nut, so I'm really gambling on it's the same shaft amount of teeth, but you never know. So here's this one. As you can see, it's 6 slug. I also already got this one off. Okay, got that one off. Now they're different heights, which is freaking me out. But this thing right here is just for the speedometer sensor, speed sensor. I'm wondering if I take this off, if that will give me the space to fit the shorter one on. Oh, let's see if the teeth line up. Oh, the teeth line up. The teeth line up. All right, I'm gonna take this off real quick and then we'll check it. So that's nothing. That's just like an adapter. The seal is still in here, so I don't have to worry about the seal. Now let's see. I think that'll work. Obviously tolerances matter, so I'll measure. But if that would sink down right there. So it's that surface there to this surface here. I think I'm gonna be able to transfer these pinions. I just have to flip my spring mounts or spring perches and yard this puppy in. All right, so I unhooked everything. Back on the wheels. I didn't unhook everything. Now everything's unhooked. I'm gonna lift up the frame, gonna lower the lift, I'm gonna roll this puppy right out of here. Yeah. It's maxed out. Hopefully it comes out. Come on, baby. Maybe if I let some air out. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how and what angle to weld the spring perches on. I think I figured it out. So if I match this face of the axle at like 95 degrees and weld the perches on level, then that should be the same angle. I gotta get all the spacing right because I think the Xterra axle, the perches are slightly wider. So I gotta bring them in. These perches, from hole to hole, it's 40.5 inches. The other one is like 41.5 or 42.5, something like that. So I gotta figure out how to bring them in, space them properly, and be sure to center it, and then I'll weld those in. Here's the new axle. I got it in a vise. Then diff is angled 95 degrees and the perch is level. I just barely tacked it on. I just found out that I'm out of welding gas, so that sucks. But I'm just gonna tack it in, and then next week I'll get new gas and I'll burn it in all the way. I got them spaced out correctly. I used these hose clamps and made sure that this was like 6.5, 6.5, and then center hole to center hole is 40.5 inches. All right, both perches are tacked on at the right angle. Really ugly weld. Oops. Since they're gonna be clamped on with U-bolts and I'm not gonna drive it until I get these fully welded, I'm just gonna bring it around the back of the shop. It shouldn't be an issue. And next weekend I should be able to loosen the U-bolts, and then I can weld under here and on the back side. So I'm not too worried about it, it's just really inconvenient. Now I am about to put it in the truck. Luckily, since it doesn't have the third member or the axles, it only weighs probably, I don't know, 40 pounds or so. So I can put this in by myself. And then once I get it installed, put the third member in, make sure everything fits, and then I'll put the axles in and the drum brakes and everything. Awesome. Oh, this is so exciting. But I'm gonna put the U-bolts on and we're gonna mount this puppy in here. that. Okay, so I'm gonna try to lift this third member up here by myself with no jack or anything. I think it's probably gonna be a bad idea, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Lift with your butt! Wow. I did it. I didn't think I was gonna do that. Oh no! Why is there oil in there? No! Oh, dang it. I have to do this again. Whoa. What? I put silicone on it. No! What are you gonna say? I think we're good now. Definitely good now. Put the wrong nuts in. So next, I'm installing axle, hubs, and brakes. It's all in one piece. And then we'll get wheel fitment on and figure out how much this actually pokes out. I might have to trim fenders a little bit. I really hope not, but I kind of think I'm gonna. So this is what it looks like. I'm gonna do the other side, mount the wheel. I mean, honestly, checking tire fitment is pointless because it's not like I'm gonna swap the old axle back in. But I do wanna look at tire fitment. That's what I'm most excited about. I really suspect that I'm gonna have to trim these fenders. Which I don't want to because they're really nicely shaped. But I'd rather have a wider, more stable, limited slip rear axle than nice, perfect, pretty fenders, which I've already trimmed once. I really wish that I lifted the wheel wells more significantly. Oh well, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Guess we'll just have to lift the rig a little bit more. Goes. All right. I don't want to cut it in. I'm probably gonna have to. Right here and right here. So let's see how this works out after I lower it. All right, that's all the way down. Oh, it is touching. Definitely. Just barely though. And when the axle travels, it should go back, which sucks. So I'll have to cut quite a bit off this back end, but it's not too bad. All right, now that the wheels are on, U-bolts mounted, tightened, shocks mounted, tightened, get brakes, fill the diff with oil, driveline, and then do a slight little trim on the fender, body, fiberglass, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. Fillet, brakes. I should do brakes first. I should fill it first. I should fill it first. Limited slip differentials require a special oil, so that's what this is. And then I'm just running 75/90 for all the rest. All right, diff is full now. Brakes are still bleeding. I'm just gravity bleeding the rear brakes. It usually works for me. I don't have another person, so I can't really do the pump and dump. All right, I'm gonna go check the brake pedal and see how it feels. All right, the brakes feel good. Diff's full. Driveline's on. Shocks are mounted. Lug nuts. Gotta do lug nuts and gotta cut that silly fiberglass thing. Made it to the snow. The RV did great. Limited slip rear end performing tremendously. We're really stoked. Four-wheel drive works. Traction on the tires are really good. Everything's working. Yeah, we're excited. One thing I left off of this build because I didn't get good footage of it, and I don't exactly remember how it happened, probably because it was a little traumatic, but I definitely almost dropped the RV off of the lift during this rear axle swap. Here are pictures to prove it.